Hey everyone, Miss B. Hanley here, and today we're talking about how to annotate confidently. First, what is annotating? Annotating is taking notes on a text of what you read, either in the margins of the page using a pen or a pencil, highlighter, or it's taking digital notes about what you read while you are reading a text. So the next question is, why should you annotate? Annotating is a great way to stay engaged with what you're reading. At the very least, if you're like me, it'll keep you from falling asleep. But additionally, annotating while you read helps you keep track of your own thoughts about what the text is saying, what questions you have, or predictions can you make while you're reading, what information seems particularly important or relevant to you. How to annotate. First, let's talk about what you're going to need if you do different types of annotation. So because we live in the 21st century, there are multiple ways to annotate something that you're reading. The most common way is on paper. Obviously, if you're reading something on paper, the easiest way to annotate something is by using a pen or a pencil and writing your notes in the margins. However, if you're using a print text and it's not something that you're allowed to write on or feel comfortable writing on, you can also use sticky notes in your annotations and stick that note to each page that you are writing. Additionally, while it might be a little bit harder to keep track of where you were while reading, you can use another notebook to take notes while you're reading and marking down which page or chapter you were on when you take certain notes. Besides using pens and pencils, you might also use highlighters. Highlighters are really helpful tools if you want to color code your annotations or help mark the passage of different thoughts or different ideas. Highlighters and color coding is extremely helpful, at least for me, when it comes to annotating on paper. A lot of us are reading more digitally nowadays than we were in the past. So if you are reading something digitally and you still want to annotate while you read, you can use the original idea of having a separate notebook to take your notes. Again, though, it can be pretty hard to track your thoughts and where certain annotations went on the page that you were reading. When it comes to PDF software, Kindle e-readers, and other note-taking software, a lot of them have a variety of tools that you can use to mark up your text. PDF files use highlighting features. There are also text box features that are able to be used on PDFs that allow you to type into the text box a note or a comment. Additionally, Kindle and e-readers do have a lot of annotating features as well, including highlighters and comment sections. Now, when we talk about how to annotate, there's one more thing that's really important to know before we just dig in. You're going to be able to make up whatever kind of symbols, color code options, and sized margins that you like. If you're writing in the margins, you might want to make your notes or your thoughts in a certain code or shorthand so that you can understand them, but maybe they don't take up as much space on the page. Additionally, you'll want to make a key when you're doing your annotations. Whether it's on paper or digitally, the key allows you to know what colors are associated with what thoughts or comments, additionally as well as what symbols are associated with certain ideas. Whatever the case is, you'll want to make sure you have a key, you'll have your materials, you know what symbols to use, and you know what software or tool you're going to be using when you annotate. The first step in the annotation process is to survey your reading. Look through the contents, the table of contents, the chapter titles. Make note of the publisher and the author. This is particularly important, especially if you're looking at nonfiction texts, so that you can start to understand where the author and the publisher is coming from. Do they have a bias? You'll also want to identify and analyze the features of whatever you're reading. The title, if there is an abstract, a foreword, or a blurb. Additionally, the chapter titles and subheadings. Oftentimes, these will give information about what exactly you're going to be reading. There may also be maps, diagrams, and graphs, especially if you're reading nonfiction texts. You'll want to make note of what these maps, diagrams, and graphs are showcasing. Additionally, you'll want to look for bold and italicized terms. This is a great place to start when you are doing a pre-read or your first read through, and it allows you to look for words maybe that you need to look up before getting into deeper reading. Once you have surveyed the actual text that you are reading, the different features of it and what it's comprised of, then you'll want to skim through the rest of the reading. Read the first few sentences of each paragraph, identify, underline, and highlight the main thesis of what is being said. You might also identify the main characters or setting of the beginning of a novel if you're annotating it that way. Additionally, you may want to summarize what the first few paragraphs are about so that it can help you better understand what you're going to be reading next. Lastly, when you skim, you'll identify or highlight rhetorical or literary devices, especially if they are very obvious. Those rhetorical and literary devices can be things like questions, metaphors, similes, parallelism, repetition. All of these things you'll want to make note of, because if the author is using a rhetorical or a literary device, it is giving emphasis to a certain concept that they're writing about. If you're following the critical and close reading process carefully, your final read through will obviously be the deepest reading that you have. Additionally, your annotations are going to be even deeper as well. So you'll highlight supporting evidence if there is any given. You might highlight concepts or ideas or even dialogue that you find to be extremely powerful or enriching or relevant to you. This is where you can also start to circle unfamiliar words or unfamiliar concepts and begin to look them up and define them in the margins. Additionally, you'll want to start asking questions. How is this text relevant to you? What do you think about what you're reading? These questions and comments can be left in the margins or on sticky notes or on a separate note-taking software while you're annotating and reading. And if you've watched my other videos about the critical reading process, how to close read confidently, and now how to annotate confidently, you will be able to read and understand everything that you read. And if you don't, you'll get a deeper sense of what you're reading and explore other topics that are associated with what you read. I hope this helped you become a better reader and better understand how to annotate well and annotate confidently. I hope you have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.